Hi, Longheads. We know you're listening. This is Brothers of the Serpent podcast.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents, to Brothers of the Serpent podcast, coming to you not live from the 10 by 10 by 10 tangent cube of science, nestled amongst the dusty bones of an ancient seabed high atop the Edwards Plateau and right next to that Sierra Madera Astrobleem thing. Yeah. This is episode 69 of Brothers of the Serpent podcast. We are getting up there, getting real close to episode 72, which I'm looking forward to. By the way, I went back in our feed history and found out when the birthday of the podcast is. So we're going to have to celebrate the next time we get to the birthday, which will be like year 3. We missed the first one.
We always miss the first one.
Yeah. It's like April 10th, I think, was the first. So, yeah. And by the way, we are joined, as always, by our good friend and longhead compatriot, Mr. Brett England, out there in space. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, guys. Glad to be here on a Friday. A little bit of a change.
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks to everyone for waiting again. Totally my fault.
This is our secondary emergency backup day Friday.
Wow. Did you get that new transponder? You have not glitched out one time yet.
Awesome.
Could be because he's talking to us from somewhere else in time, because he's out in space. He's not as deep into the overlapping time cave hole.
Yeah.
All right, so we have, as always, space weather news. The Draconid meteor outburst, which we talked about last time, or the last couple of times. European skywatchers got a big surprise on the night of October 8th through 9th when a flurry of faint meteors filled the northern sky. It was an outburst of the annual Draconid meteor shower, reports Jure Takanakakov, a member of the International Meteor Organization who witnessed the display over Dolenja Vas, Slovenia. The Draconid peak is normally weak, numbering no more than 5 meteors per hour. During the outburst, rates were at least 20 times greater than normal, boosted perhaps by a recent close approach of parent comet 21P Giacobini-Zinner. All in all, a rare and impressive event.
So wait, only one guy, J.A. Takapakapakapakov, is the one who witnessed it?
Yeah, the only like person way out there in the middle of nowhere in Slovenia.
Wow. I wish I'd been hanging out with that guy at that time.
Yeah. But that is interesting. Like, so in the Draconid band, a large comet passed through, and that caused an increased outburst in the Draconid meteors. Mm. So if you think about like all this
like billiard balls,
or it was behind it, right? Because like it goes by, and then we could pass into the stream, and then all this stuff hits us.
Yeah.
So it's like a wake,
or not necessarily behind it, but the tail of the comet that the sun's like,
pushing out.
Solar wind is like kicking its ass out there. Makes a big band in this.
Yeah, exactly.
In space.
I think the idea that I was thinking of anyway is this like, because we talk about these cataclysmic periods, and like when there are large objects in the stream, even if we don't get hit by those large objects, we are going to get bombarded by many smaller objects that are near the large object.
Yeah.
So that's what that was demonstrating to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got one. Space weather news, sort of. Just speaking of things in space, a Japanese spacecraft drops a robot onto Asteroid. Did you hear about that one?
No.
A robot has been successfully...
Is it like a hot anime chick robot?
Yeah. A robot has been successfully dropped onto an asteroid millions of miles from Earth and will now hunt for the origin of the solar system. The German-French device known as Mascot landed on an asteroid called Ryugu when it was dropped by a Japanese spacecraft. The spacecraft has been floating around the asteroid in recent days and already dropped the 2 devices to explore its surface, which sent back stunning photo and videos of the world. The robot had live tweeted its own descent to the asteroid. "I'm doing it! I'm descending to Ryugu! Can't stop me now!" Its engineers posted on an account devoted to Mascot. Freaking Twitter. Twitter bots. Damn Twitter bots.
Yep.
It then posted to say it had landed successfully. And then I found myself in a place like no place on Earth, a land full of wonder, mystery, and danger. I landed on Asteroid Ryugu. It will now spend its time measuring and taking pictures of the surface. It has already successfully collected some 20 images, which are stored on the mothership known as Hayabusa 2, ready to be looked at by scientists. It's freaking...
Yeah.
Somebody didn't edit this article. The spacecraft went as close to about 50 meters to the asteroid's surface to release the box-shaped lander. So
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Back to you,
cool.
Russ.
So this one, this story is not space weather news, but it is in line with interesting, strange stuff. This happened, let's see, on the 9th. Mysterious, eerie hum from a sky lasting 45 minutes with air vibrating baffles locals. A mysterious buzzing sound from the sky has baffled locals and left them feeling like the air was vibrating, with residents adding, "Something strange is going on." Of course. A YouTube video, YouTuber Renee Krupinski shared the bizarre clip which features a low, unusual fluctuating noise appearing to emanate from the sky in Sweden. The 2-minute and 21-second video was reshared by another YouTube channel today. It is the latest in a string of unusual noises to be heard from the sky worldwide, with unusual hums and horrific trumpet sounds. Scientists have been theorizing what is causing this noise, from theories ranging from shifting ice to distant storms. Krupinski shared the video of him standing in a snowy landscape, which is silent apart from a constant low buzz. Let's see. It is briefly interrupted when a snowmobile passes, but once it is gone, the pulsing hum remains. He was standing in an almost empty snow-covered landscape with no obvious source of the ambient sound. Krupinski described the chilling sound as coming from the whole sky and said usually the area is extremely quiet. So I've watched the video, and it basically is like it's hard to tell on a video, obviously, but there is this weird thrumming hum sound coming out of the sky, and he's turning the camera slowly back and forth, and you can't. It doesn't, like I'm listening to it with headphones, and you don't hear any kind of change of direction. It's very interesting. And he is standing in this, like, desolate landscape. So
It's cosmic funk. Like the Watcher is just saying, we have buzzing, we have trumpets, and booms. You put them all together, it's probably a funk band. Yeah, that's right. But it's cosmic inside, so we're just hearing like really a tiny little portion of the duration of the song.
Can't get enough of that cosmic funk. The cosmic funk. All right, that's great. Okay, this story made me extremely jealous. Swedish girl skipping stones finds 1,500-year-old Viking sword.
I saw that one.
If you name your child Saga, you're giving her the burden of explaining its meaning for the rest of her life. Fortunately, little 8-year-old Saga Vanakek has a tale that most likely beats whatever reason her parents had for bestowing that moniker. She found a 1,500-year-old ancient Viking sword in a Swedish lake while looking for stones to skip. Who says kids can't learn from just playing around? She says, I was outside in the water throwing sticks and stones and stuff to see how far they skip, and then I found some kind of stick. I picked it up and was going to drop it back in the water, but it had a handle, and I saw that it was a little bit pointy at the end and all rusty. I held it up in the air, and I said, Daddy, I found a sword! As the local Sweden reports, her dad, Andy Vanakek, tried to get in on the story, but this saga is all sagas, with a little help from climate change. Earlier this year, the family was spending time at their summer home on Vidostern Lake in Tano, a parish in southern Sweden. The lake was unusually low because of the recent drought, so Saga was able to venture farther out than normal. Saga's saga almost didn't happen because her dad was calling her so he could watch a World Cup match. In fact, he initially thought what she brought back to him to see was either a stick or a toy. And they have a picture of this Viking guy down. Oh, where did I put that sword? Fortunately, Andy showed Saga's sword to a friend who convinced him to take it to the nearby museum, where museum official Michael Nordstrom identified it. It's about 85 centimeters long, and there is also preserved wood and metal around it. We are very keen to see the conservation staff do their work and see more details. While initially estimating it to be at least 1,000 years old, the museum's analysis now points to the possibility it's from the 5th century CE, or Common Era, which precedes the so-called Viking Age, and may even predate the Vikings' ancient Norse ancestors. Further identification and dating is estimated to take at least a year due to the fragility of the sword and its surrounding fragments of wood and leather. Archaeologists are also digging in and around where Saga discovered it for more artifacts and found an ancient brooch from the same period. To protect the area, archaeologists asked Saga to go against type and not share her saga, which she agreed to, except to her best friend, who Pinky swore to keep the secret until this week. As expected, the news has people excited about the discovery and about Saga, who some were already referring to as the next queen of Sweden. While Saga definitely likes the Vikings, they may be disappointed to find out which ones. The cool thing is I'm a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, and this just looks just like a Viking sword. That's right. Saga's saga starts in Minnesota, where her family lived until last year. While she apparently likes Sweden, she's still a bigger fan of American football than her dad's World Cup. And the big discovery hasn't convinced her to change her career goals to archaeology. She still wants to be a doctor or a dancer in Paris, not a Viking cheerleader. Wow. Sometimes these articles are goofy. Still, this is one of the, this little girl walking next to the lake.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. So there is. Okay, this is another current news story. Green gems falling from the sky over the Kilauea volcano. So this is interesting. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's fascinating geology. Some people might say that living in Hawaii is a gift itself. Those people are probably not living in the path of the lava flowing from Kilauea volcano on the Big Island, which is demolishing everything in its path. Those who believe that Kilauea is the home of Pele, the fire goddess of Hawaiian folklore, may blame this on profiteers stealing the volcano's thermal heat or tourists stealing Kilauea's lava rocks. For those people, Pele may be compensating with a gift of her own, green gemstones falling from the sky. Meteorologist Erin Jordan lives in Tucson, Arizona, a long way from Hawaii, but she has friends there who sent pictures of the stones, which she tweeted with an explanation that the shiny green crystals are olivine. I think I'm saying that right. A magnesium iron silicate with the formula Mg2 plus Fe2. While it's a gift from Kilauea and Hawaii, those who can't afford a trip there might try Norway, where 50% of the world's industrial olivine is mined. In fact, olivine is a fairly common mineral on and in the ground, but separate large crystals falling from the sky is very unusual. So basically the volcano is like blowing these crystals of this stuff out. And most of the time when you find it on the ground, it's microscopic. Yeah. But these large, like pebble-sized stones of it are coming out of the sky.
I remember reading about that a while ago. I guess that was when the volcano first started going off.
So this is how they say it happens. Popular Mechanics reports that the falling crystals over Kilauea are inside the lava erupting into the sky. As the lava cools, it hardens into pumice, that porous rock commonly used as an abrasive. Being full of holes and fairly lightweight, the pumice falls slowly, allowing the olivine crystals to drop out of the holes and fall separately. That's very strange.
Before it hardens?
No, it hardens into the pumice, and then because it's falling slowly, because it's real light and porous, the olivine actually drops out of the holes in the pumice because it forms inside of it.
Yeah, wow.
That's what they're saying. Sounds crazy. Like BS to me. I mean, is anybody up there checking? But there's a picture of one of them.
Yeah. Of course, they might be picking up pieces of pumice, and when you roll them over, some of the olivine crystals might fall out of some of the holes. Right.
But it's just weird that they would form separately inside the pumice in the holes or whatever. I don't know. It's very interesting. So it's also interesting that 50% of the world's olivine is mined in Norway or whatever, but now they're falling out of the sky in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, let's see. So here's another one in that vein. World's largest geyser is mysteriously erupting a lot lately. While the world's eyes are gazing warily at the erupting Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, someone needs to be watching the Steamboat Geyser in Yellowstone National Park. So this is a Yellowstone deal, right?
Yeah.
This is another, we're about to all die because of the Yellowstone supervolcano explosion.
But scientists say that all this activity is totally normal.
Right. It does do that in this article. After being dormant since 2014, the world's largest active geyser has suddenly spewed steam skyward for the fifth time in less than 2 months, and researchers cannot explain why. Old Faithful gets all of the attention, but Steamboat is in the record books for its 300-foot eruptions that can last up to 40 minutes. To give you an idea of how much water nature's biggest super shooters fires in one blast, the nearby Cistern Spring is completely drained during one of its eruptions, and it takes a few days to refill. Experts estimate that that's about 70,000 gallons of water.
Why is it drained during the eruption?
Because it's the source for the water of the geyser.
How? I'm not figuring out how that works.
I don't know. Unlike Old Faithful, Steamboat Geyser is completely unreliable. Until this 2-month burst with just days between eruptions, Steamboat has gone from between 32 days and 50 years between eruptions. Okay, but recently it has erupted, what did they say? 5 times in less than 2 months.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So the sudden change from unfaithful schedule and long periods between eruptions are what have some experts from the United States Geological Survey looking into Steamboat. Not physically, you could put your eye out. So here it is from the USGS. Classic. Steamboat Geyser erupts for 5th time in 2018, just before 4 a.m. on May 13th. Steamboat also had frequent eruptions in the 1960s and early 1980s. No implications for volcanic activity, but good implications for viewing some spectacular geysering this summer. No implications is the same thing they said in February when a swarm of over 200 small earthquakes occurred 5 miles below Yellowstone National Park during a 2-week period in February 2018. And the same thing they said when the supervolcano area was hit by 2,400 earthquakes during the summer of 2017. And you get the idea. The USGS doesn't want to commit because they don't want to start a panic.
Yeah.
Should we believe the USGS about Steamboat? Geysers are caused by surface water seeping downward until it meets hot rocks being heated by magma. The steam and hot water shoots back up through the geyser's narrow sealed pipeline and bursts through the small opening until there's no more pressure to push it out. The Steamboat has been known to vent for 48 hours after a major eruption. That's the physics. What this doesn't explain is 5 major eruptions in a matter of weeks by a geyser that has been known to lie dormant for decades. Is the magma of the supervolcano building? Is it close to the surface? How is it reloading so fast? Why is it reloading so fast? No implications is no answer. Geyser watchers use seismic alarms to notify them when it erupts, which means they miss the initial burst and possibly the entire eruption. Michael Pollan, the USGS scientist in charge of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, understatedly told CNN, "The fact that Steamboat has erupted 3 times in the past 6 weeks is a bit unusual for this specific geyser." A bit. In addition, because of the recent surge, Jamie Farrell, research assistant professor of seismology at the University of Utah and chief seismologist of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, told this to CNN. "We are planning on placing seismometers near Steamboat Geyser within the next week. If it erupts again, it would be nice to be able to record any precursory activity. No implications? We'll see."
I don't understand how they can even say that.
That there's no implications?
Yeah. How do they know? They don't.
I don't know. They don't.
They don't. Seems like just a bullshit thing to say.
Yeah. I think I agree with what this guy says, that they just don't want to cause a panic.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, because of the way geysers work, this means something has changed.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Maybe it's FRBs from outer space, because there's been a lot of those recently, too.
Oh, yeah. Do you have an article on that?
Yeah. I haven't read it. I haven't vetted it.
Okay, that's fine.
It might be a bit boring.
We are very proud of non-vetting articles on this podcast.
Yeah.
We just see the headline, we're like, I'll read that on the show.
Hey, but this is by space.com. I mean, space.com.
Space's website.
Yeah. Space does not post bullshit, boring articles on its own website. Mysterious deep space flashes, 19 more fast radio bursts found. A huge haul of newfound fast radio bursts, FRBs, may help astronomers finally start to get a handle on these mysterious and powerful blasts from deep space. Didn't they say that the last time there were 13 of them or whatever? Yeah. A new study reports the detection of 19 previously undiscovered FRBs, including the closest one to Earth and the brightest one ever seen. The results boost the total tally significantly. Just 3 dozen or so FRBs had been previously known, with the first detection coming in 2007. This is crazy to me that it's that recent. Like 2007 was the first time this phenomenon was ever observed.
Yeah.
I need to look more into it, but FRBs are brief, millisecond long, but intense emissions of radio light, which can pack as much energy as our own sun produces over the course of nearly a century. Their source is the topic of much discussion and debate. For example, some researchers have suggested that FRBs could be generated by advanced alien civilizations, though most astronomers favor natural explanations, such as fast-spinning neutron stars. A new study is led by Ryan Shannon of the Swinburne University of Technology, Australia. Technology in Australia.
Okay.
Like the way they spelled it, they didn't put a space between technology and in.
Oh, okay.
So it's technologine. Okay. Anyway, his team has been searching the skies for FRBs using the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder, ASCAP, a network of 36 radio dishes in Western Australia. So I want to ask you a question, but I haven't finished reading this article.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll just finish it. The systemic hunt has already turned up 20 FRBs. The researchers report in a new paper, which was published online today, October 10th, in the journal Nature. One of the bursts they spotted was reported previously in a different paper, so the count of newfound FRBs technically stands at 19. The team's success rate can be traced to two factors. The telescope has a whopping field of view of 30 square degrees, 100 times larger than the full moon.
Wow.
And by using the telescope's dish antennas in a radical way, with each pointing at a different part of the sky, we observed 240 square degrees all at once, about 1,000 times the area of the full moon, he added. Wow. ASCAP is astoundingly good for this work. The team's analysis show that fast radio bursts are coming from the other side of the universe rather than from our own galactic neighborhood. The researchers did turn up the nearest known FRB to Earth, an event known as FRB 171020, which originated about 425 million light years away from our planet. That's about twice as close as the previous record holder. And the ASCAP survey has discovered the most powerful FRB known, again by a factor of 2, said Shannon, is the main researcher, who's also affiliated with the Australian Research Council Centre of Excellence for Gravitational Wave Discovery. This is just crazy.
So what's the question?
Well, I was wondering, like, so they're using radio telescopes to find them, right?
Yeah.
But you've been talking about how since we invented radio telescopes, there's just all this data.
Yeah.
That nothing, like, we don't have the computate.
Yeah. We have all this data,
power.
and then they go digging through it to
looking
for
for things that they're picking what to look for, right?
Yes.
They're not just looking for anything.
Right.
So
there's too much data.
Isn't it possible that ever since we invented radio telescopes, they've been picking up FRBs and we just don't, that it's just somewhere in the data?
Yes. That's
Okay.
usually what when you read about people finding new FRBs, it's because they've been digging through past data. So they go and they take the blah blah blah, the whatever survey from some radio telescope array, and they start digging through the data looking for FRB signatures.
Yeah.
That's usually what, and the reason why they're so recently discovered is because they're radio bursts. Like, radio telescopes haven't been around that long.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
The watcher is asking if it's ASCAP, as in ASSCAP. No. It's ASKAP. So I read the whole thing in the beginning here.
ASCAP.
Yeah.
Other possible acronym, butt plug.
Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder.
Okay.
ASCAP.
So he's posted information on olivine here. I want to read it. Olivine has a very high crystallization temperature compared to other minerals. That makes it one of the very first minerals to crystallize from magma. During the slow cooling of magma, crystals of olivine may form and then settle to the bottom of the magma chamber because of their relatively high density. Olivine has a temperature of crystallization in excess of 1,200 degrees Celsius, which is stupid high, so it seems like the crystals formed in cooling magma then got kicked out in a burst from the volcano.
Yeah.
So they're actually already formed.
Right.
This explains why they're falling out of the pumice rocks. They're already formed and they're floating in the magma itself.
Right.
And the volcano spits it out. That stuff forms into pumice, and then the crystals of olivine fall out of the pumice.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Pumice. Pumice. How do you say that? Pumice?
Pumice.
Pumice.
So the last time I reported on fast radio bursts was when they found the repeater.
Yeah, that's right.
Fast radio burst 121, 102. I forgot about this, but so there's only one repeater that has been confirmed, and it's this one, FRB 121, 102, which has fired off bursts multiple times since its 2012 discovery, including a barrage of at least 93 over the course of a single day in August
Wow.
2017.
Right, and that was the one we were talking about that makes it seem like they can't be catastrophic events.
Right, they were
for
thinking
whatever
that it was
object.
like,
Yeah.
well, obviously it's the center of a galaxy exploding and imploding.
I did read an article about what they called an orphan GRB, a gamma ray burst.
Ah.
And it was orphaned because it had all the signatures of a gamma ray burst, but there were no gamma rays that they detected.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Looks like chicken. Tastes like chicken.
All right. This is an article that basically confirms something I've thought for a very long time. New research on the theory that octopuses are aliens.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's obvious.
The controversial theory that the mysterious and biologically complex octopus is so unique that it had to come from another planet just got a scientific paper backing it. And they quote here, quote, thus the possibility that cryopreserved squid and or octopus eggs arrived in icy bolides several 100 million years ago should not be discounted, as that would be a parsimonious cosmic explanation for the octopus's sudden emergence on the Earth circa 270 million years ago, unquote. Okay. Should not be discounted is not exactly a bet your life savings on it endorsement, but it's still a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. In a paper entitled Cause of Cambrian Explosion, Terrestrial or Cosmic, published in the Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology journal, 33 scientists researching the cause of course it's 33, researching the cause of the Cambrian explosion, the mysterious point in Earth's history when single-cell organisms were suddenly overshadowed by complex animals, linked the panspermia or cosmic cause to the equally mysterious and sudden appearance of octopuses. Quote, the transformative genes leading to the consensus ancestral nautilus, to the common cuttlefish to squid, to the common, are not easily to be found in any pre-existing life form. It is plausible, then, to suggest that they seem to be borrowed from a far distant, quote-unquote, future in terms of terrestrial evolution, or more realistically, from the cosmos at large. One plausible explanation, in our view, is that the new genes are likely new extraterrestrial imports to Earth, most plausibly as an already coherent group of functioning genes within, say, a cryopreserved matrix, protected fertilized octopus eggs. So, cryopreserved and matrix protected sounds like a Superman origin story with creatures sent by another civilization to populate the galaxy. But the paper leans more towards the idea that Earth received a bombardment of comets and asteroids that could have been carrying organisms that somehow managed to survive the cold, the radiation, and the long trip. Only a complex species could devise a way to do this, an advanced species with a really big brain, like octopuses. Yes, that seems to be the flying octopus in the panspermian ointment in this particular paper. It singles out octopuses as an or possibly only advanced species that sent preserved eggs during the same period that it speculates asteroids and comets were involuntarily bringing other hardy cells and viruses en masse to ignite the Cambrian explosion some 540 million years ago.
Octopi or octopuses?
No, octopuses is actually the correct. Yeah, octopi is a pseudo-Latin. That's what they say. I looked it up. It's octopuses. Octopi is like pseudo-Latin. It's not real.
Pseudo-Latin.
But it's the same thing, yeah. Okay, this speculates because there's no physical proof, yet the cause of the Cambrian explosion, there's no physical proof yet of the real cause of the Cambrian explosion, so panspermia, climate change, evolution, and others are in play. Octopuses are a special and highly unusual species that can edit their own RNA and slow down their evolution, a process that science cannot explain yet. It's interesting that many scientists think the idea of intentional panspermia as their origin on Earth should not be discounted. Does this mean octopuses are aliens? We don't know.
That is cool.
I didn't know they could edit their own RNA.
I didn't either.
What do we got here?
The
standard English plural of octopus is octopuses. However, the word octopus comes from Greek, and the Greek plural form is octopodes. Modern usage of octopodes is so infrequent that many people mistakenly create the erroneous plural form octopi, formed according to rules for Latin plurals.
Yeah.
Octopodes.
Nah, I don't know, man. It's pseudus Latinus.
I like octopodes better than octopuses. That's for sure.
Yeah, octopodes are cool.
Yeah. So basically what we're saying here is...
I'm trying to figure out how they're doing this. They're like, hey, bro, do you have root? Are you rooted?
What?
Like, octopuses are rooted. So they can freaking just like open up their
edit
like,
their own
little
RNA
prop editor and just like change it.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how are they doing this really? Like,
Yeah.
Is it because they have 8 arms?
Set a DNA change equals 0. Yeah.
comma, change dot LOL equals.
Yeah. Set Cepha kill all humans equals 1. All right. So, I have lots of articles here.
It kind of makes sense. We're out of time. Well, I mean, we're not out of time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We can
Yeah,
take a break.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense that they can edit their RNA or something because they can edit like everything about themselves, right?
Yeah.
They can
I
make
see what you're
themselves
saying.
completely look totally different.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah. So there could be octopodes walking around on the surface looking just like humans.
Yeah, like in Destroy All Humans.
Yeah. Maybe that's what the Men in Black are. You know, they're octopodes.
Yeah.
Like that's why they look so strange, and the reason why they don't have any hair. You know, the whole Men in Black thing. They have no eyebrows or whatever, and they have these really big eyes. They're actually octopodes. The suits are actually part of their skin.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk more about snakes.
We hail with forked tongues. Slithering snippets. Snake bites.
Snake bites.
A well-rounded breakfast for all serpents. Tidbits of info about space. And aliens.
And Cephas. So before we get into, I've got a bunch of other articles to read, and then we're going to get into some other discussions. I've got some listener emails to go through. The first one is from The Stash. Okay? If you guys haven't been disappeared yet after the Antarctica episode, I have a question for you. After immensely enjoying the interview with Clinton Beckham and reading about the 8-year-old Swedish girl who stepped on a pre-Viking sword in a lake last week, I was wondering if any of the buried points or knives have been tested for ancient DNA. If we have the capability to pull traces of DNA off of murder weapons long discarded, what kind of impossible monster stuff might be found on a paleo artifact?
That is a great idea.
That is a great idea. Thanks for some great shows, The Stash. P.S. Did you know that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio was a pyramid? Just saying.
They know what's going on.
That's right. That is a great question, Stash. I don't know. Most of the time, DNA falls apart really fast.
Yeah, but well, a cave point,
Yeah, a
might
cave
have
point
some
preserved
blood
in
on it.
ash.
If they stabbed something with it and then they brought it back to the cave.
Yeah. Oop.
The Watcher.
The Watcher is eating.
Yeah.
I accidentally hit the button on my keyboard. Sorry about that.
How's that MRE, buddy?
Pretty good. Space spaghetti all the way.
All right. Another listener emails. Awesome podcast and book suggestion from Aaron Hurst. Hey guys, thanks for making such a fantastic show. You guys have one of the very best podcasts out there seeking to make sense of the ancient stuff and how it relates to the world we live in today. You always keep the big picture in mind and pull from so many disciplines. Your speculation is refreshingly uninhibited and intelligent, or entertaining. It's not both. It's either intelligent.
The first part, she was talking about you. The second part, I think it might have been about me.
I've listened to all the episodes and now eagerly await each new one. I have recently stumbled across something that I think you guys might like. Have you checked out the work of, I don't know how to say this name, Jno, Jno Cook? And she gives a link here. Over the last decade, he's been attempting to build a working chronology and explanation of history based on a literal interpretation of mythology and the examination of plasma science and electric universe ideas.
Ooh.
He is a true skeptic, a thinker, a theorist, and with refreshing ideas. His entire work is free to read online. Or you can have your phone read it to you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Or you can buy the print version. I'm halfway through volume 1 of the print version. I am totally blown away by the ideas he presents and the way he combines things from so many disciplines. Anyway, I just thought I'd send you a thumbs up and let you guys know about Jano's work. Jano, I don't know how to say it. If you haven't found it already, cheers, Aaron.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get that.
Speculation is refreshingly uninhibited and intelligent, or entertaining.
I'm going to get Cook's stuff on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
I've been not really listening to anything because, well, I did get a new phone.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You got a new phone.
yeah.
Okay, so this is from Sydney, England. This is the father of the Watcher. So we got a whole bunch of emails from him.
He was the fallen.
That's right.
He was one of the fallen.
One of the fallen. And he nicely itemizes his stuff here. So he says, 1, there was a Quant Suff in the first Planet of the Apes movie. The remaining humans lived underground and worshipped a nuclear missile on an altar.
Ah.
Really cool. Let's see. If a butt flap is a pelt from an animal, they kilt it. It's a kilt. And then he says Von Daniken is Swiss, as is George Tsoukalos and Billy Mayer, for that matter. So yeah, we were saying he was Austrian or German, but he's Swiss.
Sorry there, Daniken.
Yeah. They're all the same, Swiss, Germans.
And looks like your dad is showing you up, Watcher. But now I know where you get it. Your ability to watch.
He also says, and this is talking about the dream that I had with where there was this enormous bunker shelter beneath the house where I didn't want to grab the handles because they were metal.
Yeah.
He says, if you actually build the shelter, just remember to insulate the handles. That's good advice. Thanks. And he says, I've been forgetting to compliment Kyle on all the wonderful variations on a theme of your break music. So creative, so precise in their frame. Are they a song, or are they available on one of your CDs?
They are a bunch of different songs, and no, they are not available on any CD. But ever since I heard that comment, I'm thinking that I should make an album out of them and release them. But I'm constantly making more. So once I get to a good album size,
Just make digital releases of each song.
it's more expensive.
Oh.
If I actually publish it as an album, it's way cheaper than publishing each one individually.
Oh, okay.
So if I get a good chunk of them, maybe on our next birthday,
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
next podcast birthday, maybe I'll do a Hobbit birthday present.
And the last thing I want to...
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, really appreciate that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Kyle
that's
does work
awesome.
really hard on the music and the all the intros and outros, and the way that it's timed and everything is really awesome.
Yeah, so there some of them I do take snippets of the same song. Like I'll often be searching for a place in a song that I've never used before.
Yeah.
So it is true that different ones are actually
different pieces
of the same song, but
yeah.
it's each.
But there are multiple songs in the repertoire.
Right. Each bumper is basically a minute long, 30 seconds, and then 30 seconds of fade out. So I pick different minutes in different songs, but some of the songs are like 9 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Stalactite.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. And the last thing I was going to read from his emails, he says, I play solitaire while listening to you. I just hit game number 32,500 with a 13% win ratio. Holy crap.
I want to know if your win ratio is going up ever since you've been listening to the podcast due to 30% brain expansion.
Yeah. And don't forget to use retrocausality.
Yeah, that's right.
If you just focus on the game afterwards to make sure that you won when you were playing it before or something like that.
I have to apologize for the congestion, coughing, and wheezing, but I have been inundated by some thing that is making my immune system think that I'm being attacked by something that I'm not. In other words, I'm having an allergic reaction to something going on around here. It's been happening for about a week. So apologies for all the noise.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out, I'm not going to read these, but, well, maybe I'll read one of them. Let's see. Let's see here. Brenner, listener Brenner, and you guys have heard him on the show, has decided that he's going to post his own descriptions of the shows. And he's been doing this in the comments, and they are fantastic. So you can go check out the comments on the shows and see Brenner's alternate descriptions that he posts underneath mine. So in Antarctica and the Breakaway Civilization, episode 66, I said, in this episode, we take a deep dive beneath the Antarctic ice into a conspiracy-laden rabbit hole of UFOs, ancient aliens, ruins of a lost civilization, World War II-era German nationalist breakaway civilizations, geopolitics, the airship sightings mystery, abductions, contactees, Project Blue Book, and much more. That's my description. Brenner says, in this episode, Russ seamlessly weaves together an esh-load of seemingly unrelated data points, pulls the cork on his brain, and releases a complex wave of brain power into a microphone. That's So if you want to see Brenner's alternate descriptions, go check out the comments on the website. They're awesome. Thanks for that, Brenner. That's really cool. It's been making me laugh. Okay. So I want to read this article. We've talked about this briefly, but this article has a bunch of information about this. It's really, really fascinating to me. The mysterious ancient walls of California. You remember this topic?
No.
In the eastern reaches of the greater San Francisco Bay Area, California, is the region most commonly called the East Bay, which comprises the eastern shores of the San Francisco Bay and San Pablo Bay, the city of Oakland, communities in Alameda and Contra Costa counties, and the larger cities of Fremont, Hayward, Concord, Berkeley, Richmond, and Walnut Creek. It is a fast-growing, populous region, but it is not without its share of strange mysteries, and one of the more intriguing of these is a series of enigmatic walls sprawled out in the hills with origins shrouded in mystery and lost to the mist of time. The walls, often referred to collectively as the Berkeley Mystery Wall, meander over 50 miles through the hills surrounding the East Bay area, snaking along from Berkeley to San Jose and passing through various state parks, including the Ed R. Levin County Park in Santa Clara County, Tilden Regional Park in Orinda, and Mission Peak Regional Preserve in Alameda County, as well as private ranches in the Livermore Valley. And they are a common sight for hikers in the area. The walls themselves range anywhere from a foot or two high all the way up to 5 feet in height, with an average of 3 or 4 feet, and are composed of rocks of varying sizes, mostly coarse-grained sandstone, ranging from softball-sized stones all the way up to massive boulders weighing several tons, all stacked with precision but not using any type of mortar. They are very old-looking, sunken deep into the earth, covered with a layer of lichen, overgrown with weeds, and obviously ancient. There's a picture of one of them going across the tops of a hill.
Yeah, that's cool.
The trajectories of these walls are sporadic in nature at best, sometimes stretching for many miles, sometimes only for short stretches, and they can go perfectly straight or twist around in snake-like patterns, or even they spiral. Some are out in the open for no apparent reason, while others run up against boulders or are situated in inaccessible areas where it is hard to imagine anyone wanting to build a wall for no apparent purpose in the first place. And this is one of the enigmas, that they don't seem to have any use for anything. None of them are enclosed, and they are too low to be effective as a way to keep in horses or livestock, and they do not seem as if they would be much use as defensive positions either. Making it all the more bizarre is that some of the walls end at mysterious stone circles up to 30 feet in diameter. Their purpose is just as inscrutable as the walls that lead to them. The strangest thing of all is that it is completely unclear as to just who built these walls and for what reasons, and it is still unknown how old they are. There is no written documentation of the wall's construction, and pretty much the only thing known for sure is that the early Spanish explorers in the region reported that they were already there when they arrived. Of course, with such a mystery and lack of any clues as to the origin of these walls, there has been much speculation about them over the years, ranging from the plausible to the more outlandish. There's another good picture of one.
Wow.
One of the first ideas as to the origins of the mystery walls was proposed in 1904 by a UC Berkeley professor of Oriental languages and literature named John Fryer, who was convinced that they had been erected by ancient Chinese or Mongolian explorers that had arrived in the area before the earliest known European settlers.
That's...
For what?
Well, the only people I know to build a wall were the Chinese.
Yeah, right. They built a giant wall in China. They'll probably build one here, too.
That's just... Come on. You got no creativity.
This is intriguing, but unfortunately there is no other real evidence whatsoever to suggest that ancient Chinese explorers were ever in the East Bay area in pre-Columbian times. Other ideas were that these were erected by the native tribes of the area or by early European explorers or missionaries for purposes unknown, although many researchers at the time believed the walls to predate the Spaniards or even the natives. A more far-out theory is that the walls were built by an advanced lost civilization from the legendary continent of Lemuria, once proposed as being the true origin of the human race, or settlers from another supposed lost continent called Mu. According to proponents of this idea, the displaced populations of these submerged continents spread out across the globe, and in this case made their way to the East Bay area where they erected their walls. The problem is that there is no real evidence to support this, nor even of the existence of these quite possibly mythical continents in the first place. A perhaps more rational theory is that the walls are not as old as we have been long led to believe. Research into the lichen covering the walls have suggested that they were quite possibly built between the 1850s to 1880s, which is far from pre-Columbian times, and an era in which there were many ranchers in the area and had a steady influx of settlers. While this method of dating the walls is not totally accurate, this theory supposes that these were walls erected for the purpose of guiding cattle, delineating property, or catching drain water, possibly by Native American, Chinese, or Mexican laborers at the time.
Right, which is why they would make a circle at the end of one of the walls.
Right. The problem with all of these is that people are supposing the walls had some purpose that we usually use walls for, like holding things in, or
right.
And none of it. Spiraling.
Has anyone? I'm still waiting for a point in the article where they're like, somebody tried to compare them to astronomical figures or blah, blah, blah. And it's not happening yet.
Nope.
But I'm waiting. Keep going.
It doesn't say that.
I'm not going to talk shit yet.
However, a true and definitive answer has continued to elude us, and the walls remain just as cloaked in mystery as they always have been. With archaeologist Mark Hilkema of the Santa Cruz District of California State Park saying of them, "There is no definitive answer on its origins, which further delights the public, who can take it to new levels of speculation." As with many such mysterious structures, we are left with an unsolved puzzle, fuel for speculation and debate, but offering few real concrete answers. A location etched in time as an anomaly, possibly forevermore. We are left still asking who built these walls and for what purpose. Why are they so unevenly built, and what are the circles they lead to? Although most of the walls skirt some of the most rapidly growing and highly populated areas in California, we still don't know the answers to these questions, and the puzzling mystery walls of the East Bay continue to elude clear understanding.
It's interesting that this archaeologist has the view that archaeologists not having an answer for it delights the public because it allows them to speculate.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Except that even when you do have
Except
answers...
that you can tell he's being condescending about it.
Yeah, I know. But even when you do have answers, bro, I still speculate.
Right.
Because...
Yeah. It also shows you like a reason why they want to come up with answers, to stop people speculating on stuff. If they think that way, right, then they'll have this...
outlandish ideas.
Right.
Yeah. All sorts of outlandish and far-reaching ideas. Not one of which had anything to do with space. I mean, come on. Somebody could try to think maybe it was the Mongols trying to keep the Chinese away.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a bunch of lemurs who were...
Yeah. It was people trying to keep lemmings from jumping off the cliffs.
the Lemurians or whatever they're called.
The lemurs. All right.
That's really cool. Okay, so real quick before we move on. Smith Farm in Vermont.
Yeah.
Same deal. Like,
right.
Walls were going everywhere. And of course, I don't know how many square miles or whatever.
Yeah.
That
50 miles of those walls in there.
But very large area, which is now a state park, which used to all be, or it's not a state park. It's just
it was a state natural area.
State-owned land or whatever. These walls and mounds, they're just like mounds, large mounds, small mounds, some mounds that were like, the size of a bathtub.
Yeah.
And then some were
enormous.
Yeah, the size of a house and like stacked up against massive boulders, that were sticking out of the mountainside. And then some of the mounds would have just walls, like the ones in those photos, just running out, and they would go straight. Sometimes they would snake-like curve. Sometimes they would encircle something.
Yep.
Sometimes there would be little mounds or tower-like things. Not towers, but, parts that were stacked up tall.
Yeah.
Along the wall.
Yeah, like little towers on
little
the wall.
Tiny mounds, towers or whatever, steep mounds. There's even one that has that they built over top of a stream.
Yeah.
So the wall like snakes around, but at the end it's like the water's coming out like the mouth of a serpent or whatever.
Yeah, I heard that was awesome.
So, and it wasn't the settlers doing that,
right?
I don't think, but
and some people think that some of those walls are ley line related, earth line telluric current related in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
I don't know. But it's interesting that I mean, I know in Vermont, it's like everybody just kind of thinks like,
yeah, these were old settlers that built this stuff.
Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody really takes an interest. Now, when we were there, the guy said that some university, like Harvard student, not Harvard, it was some,
I can't remember.
It was some university that at least had people who were interested in that stuff.
Yeah, he told us it was controversial.
Yeah, and they were sending a team out to like, take a look at them, but the public in general, I guess, just doesn't really have an interest because they've sort of been decided as to what they are.
Right.
Even though the academics know that they don't really know what it is.
Right.
So they're sending a team out to like really check them out.
Right. But the public has taken the idea that the authorities all think that they're colonial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just strange that they're not mapped. Now, in Vermont, there's that huge canopy, so you can't just walk around with a GPS. You would
we
literally
tried.
have to survey it.
Yeah.
Which would take a team maybe years.
Yeah, and it's all in like up and down steep mountainsides and stuff. So,
But out there in California, it's probably...
Yeah, those were open fields.
Yeah, a lot of them were open fields. It'd be interesting to draw it out on a map.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So this is a topic that has been a favorite of mine for a while. I've always wondered what is going on with this. This is called the mystery of the ancient eternal flames, and we've talked about this, the ever-burning lamps. Back through the fog of time, our ancestors had mysteries that even now we can only begin to guess at. In many cases, these mysteries take the form of strange, almost mythical advancements, technology, or discoveries that these ancients may have taken for granted, but for which we are left striving for answers. Surely such one bizarre anomaly upon the pages of history as that of the supposed flames that never go out, which cannot be extinguished by earthly means, and the secrets of which remain lost in the past. The existence of the mysterious lamps that can supposedly burn for centuries, millennia, or more, perhaps even eternally without any human intervention, has been mentioned since far back in history from many parts of the world, from such tales particularly prevalent from Egypt. It was believed by the Egyptians that the dead required some source of light to guide them to the underworld, as well as to keep away evil spirits that would try and hinder their journey or harm them. And to this end, the ancient Egyptians were said to have routinely sealed up some sort of lamp or light source within tombs. But archaeologists and Egyptologists agree that there is no evidence for open flame sources, as no residue or scorch marks have been found within these darkened chambers that would point to traditional torches. So how did they do it? How did they provide this illumination in the dark? One theory says that these ancient people found a way to harness the technology to produce eternal lights that could burn indefinitely without any discernible fuel source, which was said to be the realm of the power of the gods, in which they managed to learn the secrets to. What have come to be collectively known as ever-burning lamps have been described since ancient times and have been written of by many writers and explorers throughout the ages. In 100 BC, there is an account scrawled upon papyrus and later described by the Arab philosopher Iamblichus, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Iamblichus, which tells of an expedition of explorers who sought access to the underground chambers beneath Giza, and during their adventure came across these eternal flames. According to the report, it said, "We came to a chamber. When we entered, it became automatically illuminated by light from a tube being the height of one man's hand, and thin, standing vertically in the corner. As we approached the tube, it shone brighter. The slaves were scared and ran away in the direction from which we had come. When I touched it, it went out. We made every effort to get the tube to glow again, but it would no longer provide light. In some chambers, the light tubes worked, and in others they did not. We broke open one of the tubes, and it bled beads of silver-colored liquid that ran fastly around the floor until they disappeared between the cracks."
Mercury.
Yeah. As time went on, the light tubes gradually began to fail, and the priests removed them and stored them in an underground vault they specially built southeast of the plateau. It was their belief that the light tubes were created by their beloved Imhotep, who would someday return to make them work once again. Such tales of these eternal lamps continued throughout the ages from various disparate places. The Greek biographer and essayist Plutarch once wrote of an ever-burning lamp situated over the entrance to the temple of Jupiter Ammon in Egypt, which he claimed was unable to be extinguished by wind, rain, or any other force, and which the priests of the temple had claimed had burned steadily for centuries since time unremembered. The Temple of Apollo at Cyrene and the great Temple of Aderbane in Armenia were said to have similar ever-burning eternal lamps. The classical Greek writer, Pausanias, also wrote of a lamp kept at the Temple of Minerva Polias in Athens that could remain burning for years without refueling. During Roman times, there were many accounts of such ever-burning lamps as well. The second king of Rome, Numa Pompilius, supposedly created a light source that could burn forever, which he had sealed within a temple dedicated to an elemental spirit. Interestingly, Numa has long been rumored to have found a way to use electricity long before that was even a thing, although what truth this has, no one knows. There was also a lamp found at the tomb of Pallas, son of King Evander in 140 AD, which had, according to a legend, burned for more than 2,000 years on a mysterious mix of gel-like material within it, and was apparently unable to be extinguished by any normal means. In 527 AD, there was a discovery by Roman soldiers loyal to Emperor Justinian as they were in Syria. According to their account, they found the lamp situated over an ancient gateway, and that it bore an inscription saying that it had been lit 500 years before. Another early Roman account of the ever-burning lamps was given by early Christian theologian and philosopher St. Augustine, who mentioned such a light in an Egyptian temple dedicated to Venus, which he believed to have been fashioned by the devil himself. According to St. Augustine, this flame could not be put out by any means ordinary man possessed, and he was convinced it was fueled by dark ancient magic. Indeed, this was a common go-to explanation for oddities back in those times. Later centuries would bring numerous other accounts of these seemingly impossible lamps, and in the 16th century there were several discoveries. During the papacy of Paul III, in 1540, there was found in the tomb of the daughter of the great Cicero, which had been sealed in 44 BC, but which was found to contain a light which had been burning for 1,550 years, but which quickly went out when it was hit by the air. In 1534, King Henry VIII plundered the alleged tomb of Constantius Chlorus, the father of the great Emperor Constantine, which supposedly held a flame that had been constantly burning for 1,200 years. And in 1580, the Spanish scholar Juan Luis Vives wrote of an ever-burning lamp that had been burning for 1,500 years and which disintegrated into pieces of dust when it was touched. The 17th century, there is also a tale of a young Swiss soldier named Dupraz who stumbled across a tomb in France, which supposedly had one of these perpetual lamps burning bright within. The soldier then allegedly took the lamp and brought it to a remote monastery, where baffled monks examined it and deemed it to be a marvel. It was then kept there, burning away as it always had been, before one monk purportedly accidentally broke it before its secrets could be revealed. Interestingly, there were many other reports of these lamps being sealed within tombs all over the world, including India, China, South America, North America, Egypt, Greece, Italy, the United Kingdom, Ireland, France, and others, which were still illuminating the murk when the tombs were opened, keeping the blackness at bay, but many of which were seemingly extinguished with exposure to air. In many cases, the mysterious fuel within the lamps was found to be perfectly preserved and usable even after so much time had passed, and that these lamps were almost always ensconced within circular vessels seemingly designed to protect the everlasting light within. This habit of going out upon being found could have been due to some unknown chemical reaction, or may have been a way for the ancient architects of these devices to keep the formula secret. This would have made sense, since the ability to craft a lamp and fuel that could burn indefinitely without any maintenance would have been a jealously guarded secret. They may have gone through great lengths to make sure the formula never fell into the enemy hands, by basically engineering it to self-destruct under the right conditions or through other measures. There is one very harrowing account from the 17th century in England, which apparently had some sort of ancient robot guarding the lamp's secrets. In this bizarre account, the supposed tomb of Rosicrucian founder Christian Rosencreuz was opened to find an ever-burning lamp suspended from the ceiling, shining bright as day after over a millennia since the tomb had been sealed. According to the report, one of the explorers purportedly stepped on a stone, which brought to life a massive suit of armor, which lurched forward not to attack the one who triggered the trap, but rather to mechanically demolish the lamp with an iron sword.
I think I remember hearing that one.
Yeah. The idea of an eternally burning fuel source was much discussed in past ages, especially in medieval times, and it was controversial to say the least. For some, this was clearly the work of the devil, or of some dark mystic arts, but others were more willing to try to get to the bottom of the mystery. It has been thought by some that perhaps these were very early instances of the use of electricity, although there is little evidence to support this. There are some stories. One was written of by the occultist Eliphas Levi in his work History de la Magie, who wrote of a 13th century French rabbi and advisor to the court of Louis IX. This mysterious Geshiel supposedly had an enigmatic device in his possession which looked to be a glass globe which could go on burning without any source of fuel and used no wick. He also had apparently rigged up some sort of electrical current to his door knocker. As it was written, when he touched a nail driven into the wall of his study, a crackling bluish spark immediately leapt forth. Woe to anyone who touched the iron knocker at that moment. He would bend double, scream as if he had been burned, and then he would run away as fast as his legs could carry him. This is the ultimate do not disturb.
Yeah.
There is also the idea that there is really some ancient formula for an ever-burning fuel source that has been lost to time. If this were the case, it is uncertain how it will work, but there are ideas. For instance, it is thought that they might have utilized wicks manufactured of some special material such as asbestos or other ingredients, which was a pursuit of alchemists at the time and called salamander's wool. And there were also several alchemical recipes published for ever-burning fuel, such as the formula written of in H.P. Blavatsky's work Isis Unveiled. Or it could have been some other equally clever and innovative ancient technology that we have lost, some ingenuity of the ancients that has been buried in time. In the end, in modern terms, the idea of a flame that can burn forever without a constant fuel source is seen as scientifically impossible and perhaps not a little ridiculous. In our current knowledge, it is just not possible. Fires are not infinite, and we cannot constantly and indefinitely provide the heat, fuel, and oxidizing agent fire requires, and yet these cases span far back into time. Not helping matters at all is that there is no physical evidence whatsoever of the various supposed ever-burning lamps that have been found throughout history, leaving us without anything concrete to prove any of it. It seems more plausible that these are mere myths and legends, but maybe there was something our ancestors knew that we don't, some secret knowledge hidden out there which we may never find. In the meantime, it is a fascinating thing to ponder all the same.
Impossible lamps.
Yeah, I don't like the sort of, the kind of perpetual motion fallacy that he uses at the end there. No one's talking about it burning forever. 1,500 years is not till the end of time.
Yeah.
You know, he's saying like science says that there's nothing that can burn forever with no fuel source. Well, it's not forever.
By the way, the sun. Anyway.
Have you looked up recently during the day? Yeah. That's
but
a good point.
It wouldn't need to actually be burning.
it could be using some other
electromagnetic fields
Right.
will illuminate certain gases.
right.
So,
And I mean, there's clearly in that earliest legend of the catacombs beneath Giza, they were talking about mercury in tubes. The tube broke, and he says
Right.
the silvery liquid came out.
right, there is mercury vapor
Yeah.
in modern day fluorescent bulbs. So
And another interesting thing about modern day fluorescent bulbs is often touching them will make them flicker and kind of not work anymore.
yeah, exactly. It can do both.
Right.
Like, there was nothing we could do to get it lit up again. Well, try touching it again. Try touching it real fast.
Yeah.
Just a tiny little bit.
Maybe turn it back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shake it up and down.
Sometimes you just really got to, like, almost touch it.
Right.
Touch
Yeah.
something else metal nearby.
So there was something I read recently. I can't remember where it was, but it was a document talking about this. It was some alchemical document I was looking at, and the guy was saying it was a sort of an aside comment that there was a fuel that was possible to make that would burn for millennia. He didn't say forever, but that one could make a lamp that would burn for hundreds or even thousands of years using fat from fishmen, is what he said.
The fishmen.
Yeah.
The guys in the
Mermaids.
bath suits. Oh.
That's what I took it to mean. Fishmen.
Oh, okay.
It could be, it could be Oannes. It could be a like some kind of, I don't know, like a coded hint.
I was just thinking of that, the carvings, with the guy that's just basically wearing the big
Right.
bass and his face is on the side of it.
Right.
And his legs are coming out the tail.
Yeah, that's Oannes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it could be a code to say that, like, you get the fuel from these beings that live beneath the sea.
Yeah, that's also going to be in our product line on the Snake Bros store, by the way. A giant Oannes suit.
Yeah.
It's just a big fish. And you can wear it on Halloween.
Right.
That's all you need.
Your head comes out of the mouth, and your legs stick down below the tail, and you hold a lamp that burns forever.
Who are you? Oannes! Obviously.
Obviously. I am one of the Apkalu. Good grief. But I'm fascinated by this idea, it's very Indiana Jones of, like, going into some ancient place and there's a light source in there.
Yeah.
And, like, you open it up and you know that no one's been in there for however long it's been in there, and you open it up and yet there's this thing burning or lighting the place up still after thousands of years.
Yeah. I think that's cool, too.
Yeah. Ever-burning lamps.
But it doesn't seem so implausible to me because of the the ideas about these sort of earthworks that were in tune with the planet and all these different forces of the earth, the way they built things that, we look at it today and we're like, wow, it has all these interesting mathematical principles in there, but, doesn't look like they had those principles yet, but yet their buildings reflect that they might have. Well, maybe they arrived at those principles by something else that they noticed in terms of the energy on the planet or whatever, and they were building these things to focus energy. And like what if there were sort of like clairvoyant people at the time that could sort of feel, or they were sensitive to these types of energies and everything. So that's how or maybe they had a whole order of people that were sensitive to that stuff. And that's how they arrived at these building methods.
Yeah.
That ultimately embody like these universal principles, these universal constants or whatever, like phi and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe they didn't have that as an individual concept, but they figured it out through other means. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So anyway, that type of stuff is cool to me. I think that's possible that some ancient builders were concerned with those types of things, and they were using these energy for these earth forces or whatever you would call them. And so really the idea that the specific types of rock and all this kind of stuff that they used, and then whatever their technology was utilizing those, what we would call subtle energies today. Because right now we're like mining all this crap and enriching it or whatever, or refining it to where it's like, don't smoke around that, bro.
Right.
It's going to explode. Like they didn't use stuff like that, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
So in other words, they didn't need, like right now, the light bulbs that we have, these gas lamps, or fluorescent bulbs that we have, they won't run off of very subtle electromagnetic currents or fields or whatever, because we have a 60 hertz, 120 volt system.
Yeah.
Why would you try to build shit like that?
Right.
But you could.
Yeah, you could.
You could build something that would illuminate. Now, you might not have like extremely bright, high focus light like we get out of these little freaking spaghetti.
Right, but in a pitch black tunnel, it would be great. It'd be like a glow stick. A glow stick is subtle energy. It's not going to explode in your hand.
That's right.
Right, you crack it open and it'll burn for hours.
Yeah.
And it's dim in a normal room with regular light. But if you're in a tunnel and you don't have anything else, it's going to save your freaking life.
I mean, they had phosphorus.
Yeah.
Right. That's like, you can't have agriculture without phosphorus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had to have, like they had it, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they refined it.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't. We don't know.
Yeah.
But aren't there are like,
you can also refine
chemical
phosphorus from urine. I mean, like,
there are chemical marks and stuff inside the pyramid of like weird
chemicals.
Like that. I can't remember what they are, but
the other thing that's interesting about the legend, and this I find fascinating because this guy couldn't have known this when he wrote this, that the original one with the tubes beneath Giza, when they got closer to it, it got brighter. Now, if it was operating on some subtle electrical energy, a huge group of people emitting all their own EKG signatures is going to make it get bright.
Okay, also,
and then he shorts it out when he touches it.
That's what I was going to say, is that a lot of these stories contain like, oh, well, they started tinkering with it, they checking it out, and then it goes out. Mm-hmm. Well, it's just like,
if you're using subtle energies, then you're going to have a very, very delicate
there's a balance. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
You guys walked in with all your freaking wool shirts and just screwed up the freaking balance in here, and the lights went out.
Right.
Like, no, dude, you have to wear silk and an amber headband.
Yeah. And it says the slaves got scared and all ran away, and I'm like, no, you guys were so focused on this. The slaves were like, now's our chance. Let's get out of here. All right, we're going to take another break, and we'll come back for the second half of the show and continue this line of discussion a little bit, and maybe go on to some other topics.